So we started with this project and we've worked from here down. And I just, is that too bright?
No, it's good.
Okay. So the cuff we cast on, and we wanted to use a pretty loose cast on, and then we worked a cuff for about 1 inch or so, and then we worked our leg. So that tube that we started with is the cast on, the cuff, and the leg. And then we did half of the stitches in a slip stitch rib or slip stitch pattern for the heel flap. We worked back and forth on the heel flap stitches to make the heel turn. And then at the end of the heel turn, we picked up stitches along the heel flap, worked the instep, picked up stitches on the other side of the heel flap, and then continued in the round. And so you can see this pink yarn is identifying the gusset of the sock, and the gusset of the sock is characteristically where there is a change in number back down to the same, usually the same number as the leg. So when you pick up all of these stitches around and add it to the half of the stitches of the instep, it's usually a fraction greater than the socks had been. And then you make this triangular section of the gusset to bring it all back together. And then we worked until we were ready to do our toe, and we did decreasing along the horizontal axis of the sock on both sides until we bound off or did our Kitchener stitch to graft the toe together. So that's the basic idea of a sock with a heel flap. And not every sock, so Cassie, not every heel is shaped the same. The heel that we did is called a French heel, and it's more or less trapezoidal in shape.
Mm-hmm.
But there are other heels, and we will come to some of these, both from the toe up or the top down. A Dutch heel is another version of a heel, the strong heel, and then this is it's called a common heel or a shaped common heel. The strong heel, when it's done from the toe up, is also known as the Flegel heel, and that's actually what's in our next project. So I just want to go back to, this is a toe up sock. So the cast on is here in red. The toe is worked in reverse of how it was done on our sock. So we start with the least number of stitches and we increase every other row or every third row to create the toe shaping until we have the correct number of stitches total for the foot. We work the foot until it's time to somehow increase the number of stitches to accommodate the gusset or the strong heel. And then when we finish the gusset portion of it, we will work the heel turn and then the heel flap on some of the stitches. So it's in reverse of what we did here. And then the leg is resuming the same number of stitches, typically working the ribbing up from the bottom and then having a bind off that is loose enough or elastic enough for your foot. So the sock that we're going to do is the Everyday DRK sock by Andrea Mowry. I think some of you have already got the pattern. It's going to start with what's called a Turkish cast on. It's going to have a different kind of heel from that. It's going to look more like this. And this is a strong heel. We're going to do what's called a Flegel heel, which is essentially the reverse of this. So I just want to make sure everybody is really comfortable with some of these. Probably the most important thing is that when we're talking about the foot or the leg, it's just these tubes that are usually the same size. The gusset is the part where you're changing the circumference of the sock. And the instep stitches go across the instep of the foot. So the sole of the foot or the bottom of the foot and the top of the foot, the term for that is the instep. So just to remember, to help you be oriented for that. Any questions about sock architecture? This is a little bit of review, mostly for people. Because we've done some of this and we've covered a lot of this, but I just want to point out that it's the same set of items, it's the same set of shapings, whether we go from the toe up or whether we start from the top